Hello, I hope that you are doing great. We are going to continue now with the videos in chapter 4. In the previous video, what we have done is to define the structure of the layout or a layout file, in which basically we have introduced the HTML code that is going to define the structure of our navigation bar. And what we are going to do in the next video is basically to define all the classes to have a very nice navigation bar. Okay, then let's move on there. The previous video here in defining the layout, if I go here and I refresh the web page, basically this is what we have. Now what we are going to do is go to the layout, and we are going to basically modify each single element here to have a nice layout. The one thing that I would like to show you in the first part of this video is how to introduce nice fonts in your web page. Basically, if you go to Google Fonts, this is very nice, because here, for example, I always use Roboto for the same thing that I told you. I like this way of working, and if I go to my documents, all these fonts are in Roboto. Then what I do, if I go to Google Fonts, I can click here. I want to make, okay, I go to Google Roboto, and here basically if you go down, you have different type of fonts, and you can add it here. If you add, for example, I have this already added, and this appear here in this link here. And this is basically what you have to do to introduce these fonts and to use them in your CSS file. We are going to do that. If I click here in import and I copy here, now I go to my document and I paste it. Now I erase this style because we are inside a CSS file, and then if we do this, basically we can start to use this font. Okay, this is the first thing that I want to do. The second thing that I want to do is I want to define some CSS utilities. These utilities is some classes that we are going to use in all the documents, and then we are going to use these CSS classes in the home page, in the methodology, and the app calculator. Then I define these classes once and forever. And the first thing that I would like to do is basically I going to define kind of some properties for the body that is going to appear in are going to apply to all the files. Okay, the first one is box sizing, that I want to introduce border box. We have already studied this. I save this. I want to introduce a padding of 0 equal to 0 pixels, and also a margin of 0 pixels. If I save this and I refresh the page, now basically I have everything is compacted. Okay, now I'm going to start to customize this in my body. In the body of the account of the web page, I want to define a font family, and basically I have to go here. I copy this to the Google Fonts and I paste it here, because this allows me to use the fonts from Google Fonts. Okay, and now I'm going to introduce a lane height of 1.6. If I save this information and I refresh the page, I see that immediately the things are changing. Okay, I'm going to do this in each single step. Now what I would like to do is to introduce a container. I'm going to define the class container that we have created in the HTML file, and I'm going to introduce a margin of auto, and I'm going to introduce a max width of 1320 pixels. Okay, I save this, and if I refresh this, nothing happened because now the size is smaller than that. But if I increase this and I refresh the web page, Okay, there's a mistake here, I don't know why. It's a container. I didn't introduce the measure, it's pixels. Yeah, now it's working. Now if I introduce this, the measure is basically, I don't want that this go through all the web page, because then it's a very big web page. Then I always going to define a max width, and it's never going to be larger than this size. Okay, this is the first thing that I go like to do. Now we will continue. The next thing that I going to define is in the UL, going to define that the list style is going to be none. I save it. If I refresh it, then it's truly no. This is the navigation bar. I don't want to have that. For example, I'm going to introduce other things, but you have this in the GitHub account. The thing, okay, I think that's all, because this is a specific, this is for general, and now what we are going to do is to define the classes for our navigation bar, and then this is what we are going to do here. I'm going to start to define the Navbar properties, the Navbar CSS classes, and I go down. I'm going to put this here, and then we are going to start to define the properties of the navbar to have a very nice navbar. The first thing that I'm going to do is to change the color. Section navbar, and I'm going to introduce a background color, and here basically I'm going to introduce the color of 8BBBD9. If I save and refresh the page, then now I have this navigation bar color. The next thing that I go like to do is to define the navbar. I'm going to introduce the display is equal to flash. If I introduce this property, immediately this is going to change. Now instead of have everything in vertical, now we have one thing, we have the elements in horizontal line. Basically I want to put the justify content, flash start. I'm going to introduce a height of 70 pixels, and I'm going to align the elements in the center, align items in the center, and basically I also go like to respect the same background color, background color equal to 8BBBD9. I save this, and I'm going to introduce a padding of 0 pixels. Okay, I save this, I refresh, and now it's centering the information and so on and so forth. Now what we are going to do is to add more structure, more classes to the navigation bar. The next thing that I want to like to modify is the links, because I don't want to have this line below the links, and then we are going to change this, and we are going to introduce some padding to have a very nice links. And then basically the color is going to be, we're going to change the color of the links to A4359. This is going to be the colors for the links. I'm going to introduce a padding of 10 pixels left and right and 20 pixels up and bottom. I'm going to introduce a margin of 0 in the left, 0 and 5 up and down. And finally a font size of 20 pixels, and I don't want to have the decoration, I don't want to have the line below. Okay, then basically I'm going to introduce test decoration equal to none. I save this, and then if I refresh it, now we have all these nice properties. Now the next thing that I would like to do is to have a hover line. Is when I pass the cursor I want to have some kind of effect, and basically to do that I define navbar a hover, and here basically what I would like to introduce is a border button, and I'm going to introduce a color that is 2A4359. I'm going to introduce 4 pixels and a solid line. Okay, I save this, and now if I refresh the page I have this effect. Okay, now what I'm going to do is to modify the links to the web page, and I would like to place it in a horizontal line. And to do that is very simple. It's navbar ul and display flows. Display flex. I save it, and now we have this very nice layout. Then I'm going to define the logo. I'm going to introduce some properties here to have a very nice logo, and then to do that is navbar logo, and here basically I want to have a font weight of 400. This is the Roboto weight classes that we have created, and we save this. Okay, Control S, and now we have changed the appearance of that. Okay, now the next thing is basically what I want like to define is I want to change the color of the icon, and this is a text logo, and here basically I would like to introduce a color of 568C63. I save it, and now we change the color of this. Okay, and I'm going to introduce an space here. Okay, this is the navigation bar. Now basically what we are going to do, this is the appearance of the navigation bar. It's quite nice, and what we are going to do now is to make this screen responsive, and to do that is very simple. We have to introduce a media query. To introduce a media query is very simple, and basically the first thing that I would like to do is to introduce media, and here is mass width 768 pixels, and here basically what we are going to do, the first thing is the navbar is going to be 160 pixels, and I make a mistake here, navbar, and I have to open here, and then is height of 160 pixels. I'm going to define the flex direction is going to be column. I save this, I refresh it, nothing happened, but when I make the screen smaller, I basically increase the size of the column of the navigation bar, and I move these things from horizontal to vertical. Okay, this is a very nice effect. Now what I'm going to do next, I want to introduce only these two changes because it's more than enough. You have the rest in the GitHub account. Navbar UL, I also go like to display. I'm going to change the direction into the flex direction. It's going to be column. If I save this, I refresh, and now basically what we have is that this not only these elements are becoming column, but also the links are going to become in a column. Okay, and this is basically will conclude the CSS classes, in which basically we have defined element by element the properties of this HTML document that we have created to have a very nice layout for the navigation bar. Okay, then do this by yourself. Suggest you to start from scratch and do all these steps one by one until you have a very nice layout, and then you can start to change the properties and to play a little with this. Okay, see you in the next video.